Alrighty, a very, very happy Sunday to you guys all, to you guys wherever you guys are at, I guess. Justin here, joined by the co-host of Justin and Trey. Trey, good afternoon, good morning, however you want to consider today. It is a beautiful day outside. I am enjoying every minute. Now, I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, I don't have, I have my alarm clock set for 7:30 in the morning. And there's a reason why I set it so early, especially during the summertime. And that is because I know it's going to get hot. And the thing is with me is that if I don't get up and I don't start my day before it hits 80 to 90 degrees, I might as well just stay in bed all day because it's going to be a disaster. Now, you know, it's been getting warmer the last few weeks. Now, you've been having those cases of storms that, I believe a storm came through a few times yesterday. But at the end of the day, you know, it's getting warmer. It's 80, 90 degrees. And normally I'm dreading it. I'm like, this is just going to be terrible. I suck at it, Trey. Don't put me in this position. But honestly, I have been honestly okay with it. Now, so here's a little backstory information. You know about this, but I have psoriasis.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And the biggest part is on my calves. So I'm a guy who will wear shorts around everywhere you go. Even when it's snowing outside, I will wear shorts. That's what I want to do. But I can't do that because it's gotten to a point where I guess I have an insecurity of myself.
Yeah. And
my insecurity is like, let people not see it. And one day maybe I'll grow out of it. I mean, I know it happens. A lot of people, more than not than you believe, have psoriasis in one shape, way, or form. I know my grandmother has it in a different aspect. So, but you know, I've been wearing a lot of pants, especially when I go out in public. But today, but when I go home, I'll wear shorts. So I felt that it was going to be a difficult transition wearing jeans when I'm out in public or sweats because it's 85, 90 degrees temperatures and it's hot, you know. Now, I will tell you out of confidence that one thing that has helped me was the tools that was sent to us by Manscaped. You know, when you feel comfortable in certain places, because it's very easy to feel uncomfortable. I know you and most people know what I'm talking about. It becomes difficult to operate yourself throughout the day. So when you find that equal balance and get yourself comfortable, you are able to move easier around, you know, in certain clothing items. And maybe, you know what, maybe I'm just a picky person that way.
No, I mean, no, you know me, I have leg braces, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was an insecurity about myself. I would wear pants all the time because I was embarrassed to have braces.
Yeah.
And what helped me was joining Special Olympics and being with all these Special Olympic athletes that didn't care or not let their disability stop them. So, I mean, 10 years I've been actually 11 years I've been a part of this, and eventually I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to wear shorts. I don't care what people say anymore.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about and feeling.
I feel like one day I'm going to get used to it and I'll be like, you know, just screw it. I'm going to wear shorts again. Now, I'm working on still getting the treatment right. It's a long process. It's a process, at least on my end, because it's the ins and outs. And first time me dealing with more of a financial, I have to take more of a financial responsibility because I usually went off of Medicaid, Medi-Cal, whatever you know, those already coverage health insurances. So now because I make too much and I have to be able to pay for my own plans, it's a little bit more complicated because, then you got to go through these people that cost so much money. They'll send you and refer you to these people that cost so much money. And so it is a process. And then you got to pay for everything that comes in, so it's a little process, but I'm working on it. It can be done where I can control it over time. And I hope that it gets that way, that I, get to that point. But, overall, though, the whole story is not about me and my health conditions. The whole story is about the temperature changing outside. Like I have, and usually I'm a guy who loves the cold. I love the cold. You could put me in an igloo. I would sit there and put me right into the penguin exhibit at the zoo. That's where I would be at. And, I love it. And, I'm trying, but yet again, I guess you could call me Colonel Budget if you want. I don't want to spend $150 on the AC running 24/7, so right now, I have the windows open. I have this table fan, as you can see. I have it on me. I have, I'm taking just cold showers throughout the day. And then that's the other thing. Like, I'm trying not to use the AC at night before I go to bed. Right. But sometimes right now, I think I've done it twice in like the last 2 weeks where I will turn the AC on at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, right before I fall asleep. I will wake up about 3 or 4 and it will get cold. So I will turn it off. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not using it during the day. I try to get out of the house during the day so I don't have to use the AC. If I don't have to. But I mean, it's a new adjustment. I mean, if this is us easing our way into what I like the most about it is that I feel like this past couple weeks have been easing us into the warmer temperatures. If you know what I mean, because it's not just blazing hot. Like it's warm. But it's not like I'm not having to it's not just like that gust of wind, from stepping outside to inside. As a matter of fact, and I don't live anywhere where there's a whole lot of sun direct into my place. So there's a lot of darkness, which usually would implement a lot of cooler technicality. But for me, sometimes even outside is a lot better than being inside. That's what I've been noticing, at least this springtime. I found myself the other day, I was at home and it was 7, 8 o'clock at night, and I didn't really have a place to go. So I literally just walked outside for a moment and was like, dude, I just want to stay out here for a couple hours because it was so really nice, especially the evening times right now are really, really beautiful.
You're going to talk about beautiful? Wait till you need to go outside at 11:30 tonight. That's
tonight. What? So, I think you know a little bit more about it than me. What is tonight?
It's a lunar eclipse.
Ah.
So the moon is going to be red, and what I have read that it's going to start about 10:30.
And it'll be going on for a couple hours.
Full thing is going to be at 11:30.
It seems like I always find a way to miss that excitement. I don't know. I've always wanted to view it, and maybe my eyes are never good, but I've always found a way to miss that type of excitement every year. And so, if I could stay awake until 11:30, or if I remember, you're going to have to text me at 10 o'clock saying, hey, get your ass outside. You know what? In that case, it's a good thing that we're not doing a show tonight at 10 p.m. Because we would have. Are you planning on going outside at 11:30? Normally, it'll probably be a good time to walk Nero, right?
His walk time's 11:30, so I should be outside
just a few minutes early. Well, I'm Justin. That is Trey. This is the Justin and Trey on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in to us. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Now, all right. So one thing I've been noticing lately, we've been recently starting to go live also on Facebook and on Twitter, right? Now, the comments, I love the interaction that we get with our fans. I really do. But the comments that are being received on our studio process, I can only see the comments from YouTube. Okay.
Right.
So therefore, if you guys are on Facebook and you guys are trying to weigh in, I don't have a way to view it. All right. I got so much stuff popping up here, and there's no way I could publicly display any of your comments down below. And I'll do my best during our breaks to take a look at the comments and try to, come back from break and answering some of them if you guys have questions and whatnot. But I don't necessarily have the Facebook live chat up and going, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And so if you guys are watching us on YouTube or on Facebook and you guys want to weigh in, I would highly suggest, because I'm not saying you and I are just going to have to find a way to, let's find a way to read those comments and stay connected. But especially if you're on Twitter, please, if you want to weigh in, head on over to our YouTube page or our Facebook page and follow and comment there so we can, get your interaction. You know what I'm saying?
I'm actually going to pull them up on my phone so I can watch.
I have Facebook. But see, the thing is, I'm not on the Facebook screen this entire time. So, I see it. I don't have any comments now, but see, now I got to go back and forth between Facebook and StreamYard. And I know Facebook is a little bit of lag also. And that's just because we're they want to filter everything that goes through. So I wanted to kind of point that out to you guys. And if you guys are on Facebook, we're not ignoring your comments. We just don't necessarily get them right here on our studio.
Right. Yeah, so we encourage you go over to our YouTube and interact with us there.
So, with that being said, Trey, it is Sunday. Monday Night Raw is tomorrow. I feel like it's appropriate. Okay, I kind of was texting you a couple of the ideas for today's show. And there's a couple of things I wanted to just kind of talk about today. All right. I don't think I'm going to update you guys a lot about local sports that are going on today. I know that your Suns are playing today against I believe Dallas Mavericks, Game 7. Now that's going to be a big game because the Phoenix Suns, they started off the series as if it was a walk through the park. And then then Dallas comes back and ties the series, and now they're forced to Game 7, which ends tonight. And are you a little worried about the game tonight? I mean, I know
I am. I'm worried that Dallas is going to beat us, and which would cause them to be eliminated.
Right. I mean, I don't want them to be eliminated. I mean, I don't necessarily have a favorite team right now in the NBA to kind of follow. I know the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks are tonight, and I'm kind of rooting for the Celtics to win because I grew up in San Diego, and a lot of people from San Diego was a Lakers fan. And during the time of me growing up, this was the time with Kobe Bryant, and they were having it was the Celtics. It was kind of like the back end of the Celtics and Lakers, feud that they've had. And I was like, listen, I felt for a moment in my life that the Celtics or the Lakers were an overrated team. And so I purposely, all right, I'm going to become a Celtics fan because everyone down here is rooting for the Lakers. And I feel like San Diego, I'm going to say this, people are not going to like me when I say this, but I feel like San Diego fans are so hypocritical to their team. Like they don't know what to root for. One day they will talk crap about their team saying they're terrible. They don't belong here. We need a winning team. What's going on? How come ownership's not taking any accountability? And then the next moment oh, this is the greatest team in the world. We love the fact that we live in San Diego and we get a chance to support these teams. And so it's kind of like a back and forth bandwagon hypocritical,
Yeah.
statement. And for me, it didn't sit well with me. Like, it was hard to root for the Chargers when they were in San Diego because they were so consistent at being inconsistent. Right. So with the San Diego Padres, I grew up a baseball fan first and foremost with everything, because that was actually the first sport I played. And so Padres was kind of always been my thing. I knew everything that I needed to know at the time with the Padres growing up. Right. But I didn't know any other team around town. Like I knew the Dodgers came into play. I knew the Diamondbacks came into play. I knew there was the Yankees and Red Sox, but I didn't know nothing about them. It's like about the Cincinnati Bengals, but you don't know much about all the other teams because your primary focus is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Right.
And they are in your region. Now, if you went to go live in Miami, you would follow the Dolphins because every news station around there will be talking about the Dolphins, right?
Right.
So, and then, the Lakers on that hand. The Lakers were never in San Diego. From knowledgeable as from as far back as I can remember, the Lakers have never been a team in San Diego. It was the Clippers. Used to be the San Diego Clippers at one point. And then they moved up to LA. So, I don't know. I'm rooting for the Celtics. I got that gut feeling tonight that the Milwaukee Bucks will take the series, which I won't be excited about, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think there's been some really good series in the NBA playoffs, and we are starting to see the Final Four, and I'm excited.
The only reason why I really, like the Suns is because there's a UK player on that team.
Mm-hmm. There was one person I knew that is a huge Alabama fan. So he likes any team that has an Alabama player on it in the NFL. And I'm just like, oh no, come on.
Like Devin Booker is really good. I think the Grizzlies has Wally Cauley-Stein from UK.
Right.
So
I mean, I when it comes down to NBA, when it comes down to NHL, I enjoy the matchups. All right. Like I mentioned yesterday, when it came down to the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers, that has been a classical series because every time you tune into NHL, that's almost everything that you hear about is the Penguins and the Rangers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would gravitate to that type of series. But I just want to see a good series. NBA. I mean, I haven't followed much of NBA. I know the only reason why I could probably regurgitate some of the players is because how much the TV helped. You really wonder for me, okay, doing this show, understand how much watching an ESPN show at 11:30 at night does, because they will give you insights on a player, on a team, on a subject that you can use on, in your own program. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that, a lot of the credit to what they put on at ESPN, FS1, stuff like that. So what are we looking for today? I was texting you a couple of topics here. Probably highly about Raw, especially considering the stuff that's coming out of Raw, because there's Raw's tomorrow. You're going to see a cage match between Bobby Lashley and Omos, which I think is elevating their storyline.
Yeah.
Right. At least they've had two singles matches. The second singles match changed a little bit, and now they're elevating it to a cage match. Well, we will talk about that today. We'll talk about the Judgment Day because we haven't really talked about that since that fraction. The last time we really talked about that, there's a new member to that team. Now, there's a lot of things to ask about that. We're We'll talk about Dewdrop and Nikki ASH. We'll talk about the feud between Ezekiel and Kevin Owens. We will also talk about a little bit of football. I told you, Trey, yesterday that I want to go through all 32 teams, and I want to start taking a look at everyone's schedule.
Yeah.
We took a little bit at the Bengals. We will come back to a circle with that closer to the season. But today I want to look at the Super Bowl champions in the Los Angeles Rams. Bear with me, all right? We're going through all 32 teams, so put on your big boy pants there, all right? So we have a very impactful show for you guys today. Just getting warmed up. We're going to take a timeout, and we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, and we want to give a shout-out and thanks to StreamYard, the proud home of the Justin and Trey. StreamYard Studios is where you can create podcasts, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out their free version at StreamYard.com. All right, let's take our time out, Trey. We'll be right back. Justin and Trey on the returns here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Feeling low, want you to know I ain't got much to show. Baby, I'm slow, gonna creep into my eyes, snail show until the spring liberates me from my winter hell.
All right, Justin and Trey here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. I'm sorry, I'm just fixated on this song right now. Sometimes you don't know what songs you get until you start playing them again, and it's like, oh yeah, well that's the song that you want to hear. Or that I was like, I haven't heard this song in a while, So, anyways, I know. Well, you can't sit here and have a conversation with me down below and get distracted about the show.
And for a person who's been gone for 2 weeks and haven't been able to actually listen to these songs, you miss it.
I do. I'm always, every once in a while, I'm always trying to figure out a new song I could add into the mix, because after, just like the commercial breaks, I mean, I think after a while, I was getting tired I love David Fulcher. Okay, I really do. But seeing his face on our break system each and every time, I feel like it was a little too much. And don't get me wrong, I love the wrestling take that that we made, right? WWE talent leaving and all that stuff. But I really like the other ones that I made recently, and we are starting to see, and I'm starting to incorporate it. As a matter of fact, they're a little bit longer than the ones from before. I don't know if you noticed that. So,
no.
Trey, you're on. You're actually on the studio. Can you want to go over to the brand in your right side of the screen?
Yeah.
And you see the list of all the stuff that I have to display, right? And you go down to video clips.
Yeah.
Do you see each and every video and how long they are?
I do.
So I believe also, yeah. So I think one of them is I think the longest one is 3 minutes and 35 seconds long. So it does change.
3 minutes and six seconds is the longest.
There's one 3 up. The 1 3 up from that, it says thanks for watching. That's the one with Sean Evans, and that's 3 minutes and 35 seconds long. Now, I don't intend to make them 3-4 minutes long, but sometimes when you want that extra break, you kind of give it to yourself. But
yeah,
when I noticed the other day when I clicked on it, it started counting too. So, there are ticker down below when you play the video. If you remove the ticker, it kind of shows you a blue bar that kind of shows you like how long the video is. Now, with the ticker up, it hides that. Now you have over here on the right side. I want to see on our next break if you see that where it starts counting for you. It will count comparison to how long how much time you have left. Because I kind of just go off of, all right, when is that video clip done with? You know what I'm saying? Like usually when the last clip of that interview is, I count like, all right, 20 seconds. Let me get my headphone back on. Let's get set to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, gosh, I don't know where that came from. Oh, I just regurgitated in my mouth for a second. Oh, but anyways, I don't know. Pay attention to that next time. See the technology that we're finding out about our show. Just is always seems to fascinate me. Like the fact that I have May 15th up there, 2022, underneath the TNC Sports Talk logo. And it's up there the entire time. Isn't that pretty cool? Instead of having a bar down below on the screen. You know what I'm saying? You see, the one that's right, that would be right down here when I put the ticker on, right? So, I don't know.
I mean, shout out to StreamYard and this whole platform.
StreamYard
awesome.
didn't do that. StreamYard did not do the May 15th.
But StreamYard puts that in there to allow you to do that.
Well, all it is that they no, they did not. I did that through Canva, so I have to go through Canva and edit each and every time, and then when I update my logo, I just remove the old one and I put up the new one.
But still, thank you to StreamYard.
Yeah, so thank you, StreamYard. All right. I know we're doing a lot, but non-wrestling talk conversations. So yesterday we talked about the Bloodline Heavenly.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you want to include on the Bloodlines matter? Because, as much as I want to sit here and give the Bloodline credit and say that they're a great fraction right now, you have to remember a lot of it's still done by the WWE by forcing them to be at the top of the food chain. Now, yeah, you can argue and agree or disagree on this matter that the Bloodline, is the one who, I don't even say the Bloodline did it. Paul Heyman was the one who's kind of been the mastermind behind this storyline of creating the Bloodline, right? But
yeah,
if it wasn't for the WWE to agree with that, then, I don't know if the Bloodline would be where it's at.
No, we mentioned a few times how Roman Reigns has signed a new deal, new contract, which would allow him to not appear at house shows. But when does that contract go in effect? Because he was at yesterday's house show.
Well, so. Yeah, and I don't know when that. Maybe that's when later on this year. But and here's the thing: you normally at a house show, because John Cena did this for quite some time. You normally have. I feel like this is where I feel that WWE is lacking talent, because it shouldn't be only responsible for Roman Reigns to be the one at house shows. Now, yeah, at a house show, you want to give the fans what they want, and what they want to see is the Bloodline, and what they want to see Roman Reigns. Now, at the end of the night, I do think it's appropriate that Roman Reigns is the only one that comes out and close out the show, correct? If he's there and he's there to perform, but I feel like those roles can be substituted for guys like Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley and Cody Rhodes and even Seth Rollins. And I know that's kind of hard to say when he's on the heel side of things, but, Roman Reigns doesn't need to be the only person to represent the WWE. And when the WWE lacks the representation because they lack pushing the talent, right? They took the foot off the throttle with Drew McIntyre, no?
They did.
So, I mean, for me, Roman Reigns doesn't need to be the only person to close out these shows. Therefore, you don't need him at every house show. I want Roman Reigns' appearance to be mystique. Like Brock Lesnar's. He's showed up to house shows before. He's shown up to live shows. But the problem is with Brock Lesnar is that you don't know when he's going to show up. And that's what makes his appearance so much more powerful, much more entertaining, exciting. It's because now he's created to be that type of person that, one, he makes that impact when he does show up because you don't know. It's not predictable. Now, I feel like right now, though, the WWE is desperate to have that face of the company because you have other promotions like AEW, like Impact Wrestling, like New Japan Pro Wrestling that are climbing up the chains. I feel like the WWE right now should be wanting to have that face of the company there. But we go back around to the WWE pushing the bloodline. They haven't pushed any other talent to be the face of the company. And it's sad. Like, even though Cody Rhodes, and we'll talk about Cody Rhodes here in a minute, but even though Cody Rhodes has come back to the WWE, he hasn't made a huge, let me put it this way, CM Punk's impact to return to professional wrestling was much a bigger statement than Cody Rhodes, no?
Yeah, it was.
Considering that Cody Rhodes, I think a lot of people are still shocked to see Cody Rhodes in the WWE.
I mean, with all the bad blood he had when he left, and for him to, come back is, still new to me. I never expected him to be there.
Well, realistically, Trey, how much is bad blood? And how much of that was rumors going around from people to people? I mean, as well as I know on this show that that's all they are, just rumors.
Yeah.
And so when you have Cody Rhodes, who, yeah, he left the company, but look where he was at when he left the company. He wasn't getting a push. He was a jobber for most part. I mean, look at Drew McIntyre. He left the company because he was part of 3MB and he wasn't being utilized, right? Mm-hmm. Look at Jinder Mahal. He was part of the 3MB, wasn't being utilized. He comes back and he wins a championship and listen, I really did enjoy when they first splitted the brand and Drew and Jinder Mahal became champion and he had that title run. I enjoyed it because he came back. I mean, it was new. You were pushing people, right? So that's what I enjoyed about it, is that you were pushing somebody that you didn't anticipate pushing. And then Drew McIntyre comes back, runs NXT, comes back up to the main roster. Now, I thought he was going to be like everyone else when they paired him with Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. But I mean, he became the face of the company for a year. Now, given that was a temporary state, we knew that was almost temporary. But all right, let's not forget that they haven't pushed him since then.
That's true.
So you can almost say that they Drew McIntyre left the company when he wasn't going nowhere. He reinvented himself and came back. The same thing that Cody Rhodes did.
I mean, Drew McIntyre went from this dominant champion to feuding with Baron Corbin.
Right.
Like,
well, and the thing is that even Baron Corbin hasn't even been at the title spot as either a guy who's been overlooked. And listen, I understand that you do certain things with the company, and it's whatever. It is what it is. But I mean, one of the only people on the roster that deserves that title more than anybody else right now is Baron Corbin.
Now, let me ask you this. Has Drew McIntyre lost his mystique of being dominant because of dealing with Corbin for the past, 6 months?
5 months.
5 months?
Okay, 4 months. Let me put it that way. Yeah. I tell you this, and this means no disrespect to Drew McIntyre, but even the way that Happy Corbin became Happy Corbin was just a wrongdoing. I sat here on this show and I told you that this is how they should have played it out. This is what I want to see. Now, this is how I want to see things. I don't know if this is how you or the fans want to see things, but sometimes even being predictable is good enough for me if you do it the right way. Out of nowhere, overnight, Happy Corbin becomes from the poorest man to the richest man. And how? Because they had a pay-per-view in Vegas. Was it SummerSlam in Vegas?
Yep.
Overnight, he becomes a millionaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no explanation on how he did it. If he didn't have any money, how did he go to a casino and how did he bet something? Okay. Therefore, how in the world did he win if he didn't have no money to bet? So, when you did turn him around, shouldn't you see, if you would have turned him around, what you need to do, in my opinion, was create put a title on him. Did you put a title on him? No. He should have became like the Intercontinental Champion. Because when you win gold, Trey, that's when you start being lifted up, right?
Yeah.
Because now you have money around your shoulders, around your waist.
And you even said this is who was Big E. Big E had the money in the bank, and you even said this, and he stole it. And you said this that he should have cashed in.
He should have cashed in at SummerSlam, and he should have won. Because let's face it, did Big E's title run do anything for Big E?
No.
I mean, I remember I was saying this, like this is not going to work out. He wasn't. I mean, even I wasn't the only person saying this in December last year that Big E his title run was a joke.
You did. You called it.
And the fans didn't get behind him. They didn't push him. I feel like they put him too much on they gave him too much screen time. You know why Roman Reigns is so successful as a champion right now is that they only put him on TV when he needs to be on TV. He's only talking when he needs to talk. He doesn't do anything else. He's already proven to you what he's capable of doing in the ring. Now all he needs to do is, and he's backed up everything he said so far, right? So all he does, he shows up when he wants to do, he talks when he wants, and he's literally the man who runs the place. Therefore, he hasn't had a title shot for 2 months now. Or title defense in 2 months, which I think it's bogus. I mean, there needs to be some guidelines and standards in WWE. I think for me, I'm an old school person. There needs to be guidelines of, hey, every 30 days that title must be defended or it will be vacated. And even the main titles, you need to push as hard. And, I mean,
what happened to that rule?
I don't know. I mean, it's like what happened to the rematch clause. I guess the WWE is, I read an article with that Vince McMahon is trying to say, oh, well, there's no one's being forced to do anything here. I feel like it becomes more of a label law type thing, But you know what? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it's a program. People want to see it defended, see it, broken down. All right, let's take a break. We'll continue this when we come back. Justin and Trey here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, as we wait, I want to just go ahead and just give a shout out once again to Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming with their products and precision engineered tools for your family jewels. They've given us an opportunity for a sponsor run. And as we wait to hear back, as we hope we get it, we want to give a shout out and thanks to Manscaped. You guys can head on over to manscaped.com. We can get free worldwide shipping in any of your purchases. Manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job at Manscaped. I think that's fair enough. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where else to stand. I don't want to give people wrong information, right?
Right.
All right. We're talking about Happy Corbin. We're talking about the run that he had and this and that. And back on Friday night, Happy Corbin really, put himself out there by, really assaulting Madcap Moss. And I have an update for you. I'll give it to you right after this quick promo. You could join Steve Barber and Dwaylon Davis as they break down news and highlights in professional wrestling. The Armchair Booking Podcast is a weekly wrestling podcast found on YouTube and all audio streaming platforms. Go check out and follow Armchair Booking now. Now, Trey, Happy Corbin assaulted Madcap Moss after on SmackDown after Madcap won his match against Happy Corbin back at WrestleMania Backlash. What are you taking about this storyline? Is this an intriguing storyline now? Have they grown this? Is this something that you would be willing to see again, maybe at this upcoming pay-per-view at Hell in a Cell?
I mean, it went from like a regular match, and now Corbin has assaulted him with the Andre Memorial Trophy. And I think they need to elevate this match by putting a stipulation.
Right. I don't think that this would cause for a Hell in a Cell match.
No.
At the upcoming Hell in a Cell, right? That's
right.
Upcoming Hell in a Cell. So, I was kind of getting lost on. I'm worried. Okay, so here's my bigger picture, and I'm thinking too far ahead. I'm gonna think too far ahead here for a moment. Where do you see these two men go after this feud?
It's hard to determine. Madcap maybe in the Intercontinental Championship scene.
Okay.
Corbin, I have no idea. Maybe getting a chance at the Universal Championship. I don't know.
Right now, I feel like Madcap or Happy Corbin. Let me start off with him. I feel like right now, Happy Corbin's situation is weird because Roman Reigns is a heel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is Roman Reigns a heel or a face? It's kind of both. Right?
I think he's a heel.
But everyone loves him. So, anyways, you don't see Happy Corbin going up against Roman Reigns anytime soon. So, therefore, you have to take the title off of him, which means that if, like I said, these are all speculations here. I'm not saying that we're right or we're wrong. But Happy Corbin, but we're talking about an upcoming promotion of maybe Drew McIntyre taking the title off of Roman, which I think I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the idea of Drew McIntyre being the one because I don't know. I'm not buying into Drew McIntyre being the one to take the title off of him. But if that's the case, then I see Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin again at the end of the year. Right, for the title, that's where I could see that run. I feel like anything less than a title run for Happy Corbin doesn't hold water. Okay.
No.
Now, Madcap Moss, you got to remember that he's been with the company for almost a decade. He's been in NXT for a long time. He recently just got promoted to WWE. I forgot who his tag team partner is. It was Moss and someone else. I could see if I could look it up here.
I mean, would Corbin be a good fit going against Ricochet?
So Madcap Moss used to be partnered with Tino Sabatelli in NXT since from 2016 to 2018. So he's been in for at least 6 years. And then they separated, and I felt like they didn't have nothing left to do with, and his original name was Riddick Moss. So I didn't think that they had nothing. I don't know what else they had to do with him. And then they brought him up as with Happy Corbin. I do see, I see a Rick Boog in Madcap Moss. I see this innocent, talented guy who wants to make a name for himself, but I feel like the character that he's playing is only going to get him so far. You can't take him seriously. You brought him up having him tell jokes. I feel like that's your first problem, right? He was telling jokes. How do you take someone seriously when they're joking around? You don't. You just can't, Trey. Just doesn't happen. Same thing with Rick Boog. How can you take him seriously when he's joking around by playing the steel guitar and he's having fun?
I mean, as soon as he gets in that ring, he's down to business.
I get that, but sometimes it's the way you carry yourself outside the ring that is also important on the character. And for me, I feel like there's just too much fun in games to take both of them. Both, and I'm gonna say both Rick Boog and Madcap Moss seriously. First of all, you're gonna have a guy named Madcap be a champion. Does that fit? Does that really fit the bill? No. So you're asking after this feud that if he was going to become a champion, you're going to have to do something. Most likely just drop his first name. But does Moss reminds you of Moose, and then they're going to get those issues of, oh, we're copying things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my point is that I really feel like Madcap Moss, this is the only thing he has left right now. I will be very intriguing. It will be very intriguing to see just where they decide to take this character after Happy Corbin. But going back to the story, it feels like a Big E story. Okay, I know Big E was a freaking nature and it happened, right? And it was a real thing. I don't quite think that that's the same thing with Madcap Moss, but it's the same storyline a little bit because now he's going to come back and we've seen this before. He's going to end up winning or something like that. And how long do you see that? Do you see this? I can honestly see this lasting out to SummerSlam, which I don't know if that's going to be something I want to watch.
I mean, I'm tired of it already. I'm not even interested in it.
Right.
I'm really not.
Even though that they're trying to elevate it.
I
feel like they sat on this too long to elevate.
I'd rather see Seth and Cody.
You know what else is also another elevation? I'm starting to get tired of Ezekiel and Kevin Owens.
I agree.
I saw that. Now, okay, let me address this to you. Forget about whoever you want to claim Ezekiel is for a second. Just forget about that. We're focusing on Ezekiel. Who in the hell is fucking Ezekiel? And on top of that, he's coming out as the Ultimate Warrior in a persona, right? That's what he reminds me of.
Yeah. Maybe
I don't. Okay, so exactly what are you wanting to accomplish with this feud right now? Because, okay, first of all, has Kevin Owens and Ezekiel ever had a match one-on-one?
No.
Not yet. Most like I was expecting WrestleMania Backlash, but I think you're waiting for Hell in a Cell, maybe, right?
I guess.
I don't know. All right. So exactly what are we trying to get out of this story? I think the only thing that I think of is Kevin Owens trying to. Does beating Ezekiel going to make it any better?
No. No. This whole feud is trying to get Ezekiel to admit that he's Elias.
At the end of the day, okay.
But
I'm not going to deny or agree that Ezekiel is Elias. I'm not going to do that. All right. I've already made my standpoints a week ago. That's fine. We have a difference of an opinion. That's fine. Kevin Owens beats Ezekiel. Ezekiel admits that he's Elias. What happens next? Please, I'm all ears.
I don't know.
What does this do for Kevin Owens' career besides feed his ego? And what does this do for Elias's career? Right now, what is Ezekiel doing to better his career? What the hell is this story? How is this storyline going to push any of them? Kevin Owens just got done facing Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. He's taken 20 steps backwards and having to deal with these childish games in Ezekiel. Now, Ezekiel, he's trying to come in here, make a name for himself, right? He's going after one of the top dogs. But now he's stuck trying to prove himself that, first of all, no one's buying. Okay? No matter how much the fans think that they want to support him, they're not doing that. Come on.
They're laughing at him.
So exactly another character, just like Happy Mad Cat Moss, that you can't take seriously. So where are you going with this character? So you're telling me now you got Rick Boog, you got Mad Cat Moss, and now you got Ezekiel, three of top talents in the WWE that should be going to the moon and back.
That's just been a comedian act. Like, I'm interested to see what happens with Ezekiel after Kevin Owens.
What is there to do for Ezekiel after Kevin Owens? Because I don't take the guy seriously. He can't go back to Elias because he looks different. I mean, is he going to grow that beard out in 2 days?
I mean, do they have a formula out there that you put it on and it instantly grows a beard or something?
I'm pretty sure there's stuff out there, but I mean, like, you understand what I'm trying to get at. Exactly what's next for these two guys. I'm looking at, I listen, what I'm not into right now is the fact that these are great talents being not utilized in the proper storylines. And the storylines that they are being utilized in are not making a difference. Therefore, they're not being pushed. And then when they're not being pushed, you tend to forget about them. Like you mentioned, you're getting tired of Happy Corbin and Mad Cat Moss, right? Yeah. After a while, you're gonna start losing interest, and then you're gonna start losing your the respect for those talent athletes. Okay, the way that they're putting Happy Corbin in the position, you and I both know that Happy Corbin belongs in the main title.
Yeah.
Okay, he's paid his dues and then some. He put him up there. We know that Mad Cat Moss is a great athlete. He should be in the IC title conversation. You can't take either one of them seriously because they're all about jokes and games at the end of the day because the WWE has put them in that position. Like you mentioned to me the other day, it's about the kids. And I understand you're trying to put on a kids show, but you're not progressing anything because I would show a 5-year-old kid that and they'll be confused as hell.
And we all know that, Happy Corbin. What the hell is Happy Corbin? Where is Baron Corbin at?
What's the name of Happy Corbin? Like, what? He doesn't look happy to me. Like, you might as well just name him Doink the Clown.
I got a question. So when Baron Corbin, Happy Corbin was the sad Corbin, he still wrestled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where was his paychecks?
I don't know. That's a good question. Well, because he lost, so you don't really get a paycheck for losing.
I guess.
Let's take a break. Let's come back and let's continue this conversation. Justin and Trey, out number 2 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Justin and Trey is put together to you by StreamYard. Try out the free version today at StreamYard.com. Also like to give a shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemicsound.com for more information. We also like to give thanks and help through Canva. And also placeit.net for more information. All right. I mean, does any of that stuff make sense to you, Trey?
Not at all.
I'm talking about like the whole utilization of Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, Rick Boog, sorry, and now you have Ezekiel and Kevin Owens.
It doesn't make sense at all.
It gives me a headache just thinking about it, because now I'm trying to be a fan of WWE, but sometimes they make it difficult to be a fan.
Like, Kevin Owens went from this guy teaming with Seth Rollins, going into WrestleMania, bad talking Texas, getting underneath Stone Cold's skin, having a great war with him,
right,
to feuding with Ezekiel.
So let me ask you this, because how this all came down was the fact that Kevin Owens came out to a ring to cut a promo the night after WrestleMania. Ezekiel shows up, proclaiming to be Elias's brother. All right. Now, let me ask you this. Would have it been a little bit more intriguing to see the debut of Ezekiel in the ring where no one knew who he was? So, for the first maybe 3-4 weeks after WrestleMania, Ezekiel will have these one-on-one squash matches, kind of, where no one kind of knew who he was, although he looked suspicious, like he looked similar to somebody, right? And then maybe one day after the match, you know, he gets interviewed right after a win. He's like, "Who are you?" "Well, I'm Ezekiel." "Well, who the hell is Ezekiel?" And then that's when Kevin Owens comes down, the feud starts. Wouldn't that maybe be just a little bit better?
That would have been a heck of a lot better than this stuff that's going on now.
Well, because you dragged it out. It's that was 6 weeks ago since that happened. They yet to have a match.
The 6 weeks.
6 weeks, no match.
It's almost as bad as, actually, I'm not even going to do that, because I was going to say it was almost as bad as the whole 3 months that MJF and CM Punk was not fighting. But that was a bad example.
The only difference was that they were able to back that up on promo. And don't get me wrong, Kevin Owens is not bad on promo, but the Ezekiel hasn't had his water. You got to remember, when you start a new character, sometimes it's difficult to cut a promo in that new character. It takes a while. It's one thing to do it behind the scenes. It's another to actually go out there and do it. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So, if I was a booker, okay, I could only speak on behalf of I was someone in the WWE who was giving my take on how they should be doing things. I would have had Ezekiel for the first 3 to 4 weeks after WrestleMania just come out and have just these matches with like Akiwa Tozawa, R-Truth, Reggie, guys that don't mean nothing, right? But still that are known. And even like a Finn Balor, you know, in a sense, and have him beat him. And we don't know. All we know is the guy is Ezekiel. Yeah, he looks like Elias. After the third week, or even after the fourth week, you know, whoever's the commentator or the interviewer, he comes out, she comes out, interviews, Ezekiel, asking about his name, this and that. Then Kevin Owens like, no, don't. I'm listening to you in the back and you're lying your guts out, right? Like that's just the start of it. And then we could start doing this whole, all right, lie detector test. What you should have started with was a match. All right. Then a lie detector test and then elevate the match again. In my opinion, I may be wrong.
I mean, I think that would be a heck of a thing to do, but yet we're stuck with this garbage. It
is garbage. And it's barely floating on water. The only thing that, all right, let's kind of change from one wrestler to another. All right, we stay on Raw here, and I want to talk to you about, do you still hate Austin Theory?
I
mean, you can't deny.
He's kind of growing on me.
He's growing on you, huh? Yeah. Now, you got to remember, this is his year. He should be winning the Wrestler of the Year in the WWE this year. He's accomplished more than anybody else on that roster this year alone. Yeah. He's teamed up with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon decided to come out of hiding and to be on TV because of Austin Theory. That's one. He's had his 5 minutes of fame with Brock Lesnar, which is rare. That's two. He was trusted to work with Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. I'm telling you, when you get the opportunity to work with a celebrity or a non-wrestler, and when I say non-wrestler, this guy, Pat McAfee's only had maybe 1 or 2 matches in his career, right? Dating back to NXT War Games, but that was years ago. So Pat McAfee gets an opportunity in the ring, and who he gets to face is Austin Theory. That means Vince McMahon trusts Austin Theory to help put this match together. Because as well as I know, Austin Theory was the one who was carrying the match for Pat McAfee. Okay? So that's 3. Yeah. It is at this moment, it becomes an honor to get stunned by Stone Cold Steve Austin. I know he does it to everybody, but Austin Theory got stunned he had a moment with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He had a WrestleMania moment with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon, and Pat McAfee all in a 15 to 20 minute time period. Right?
Didn't even think about that.
Okay. So that's what he's done. He's had a WrestleMania moment. He's also won the U.S. title from Finn Balor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Isn't that not an accomplishment? I know we don't praise the U.S. title as much, but is that not an accomplishment?
It is.
It's a pretty big one, too. Okay. And he just got done wrestling Cody Rhodes last week, which anyone who gets to step in today with Cody Rhodes, I feel like it's an honor.
And he beat Cody Rhodes by disqualification.
And a win's a win. It doesn't matter how it's drawn about. So if you think about this, Austin Theory has done more work and has had a bigger year than anybody else on that roster. Name one person who has had a bigger year than him.
Roman.
He's only faced one opponent, and that's Brock Lesnar. Okay.
This year?
He's faced Brock Lesnar and he's faced Goldberg.
This year?
Yeah, this year.
Aren't you forgetting about Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Riddle?
No, I don't. That was a 6-man tag match. I'm not concluding him. No. So Roman Reigns, what has he done this year? He came into the year with the championship, and he's still champion. That's all he's done. He's beaten Brock Lesnar in the past, so he hasn't really done anything new. He's beaten Brock Lesnar in the past. He's beaten Randy Orton in the past. He's beaten Drew McIntyre in the past. Okay, I give it he's never faced Riddle, but the only thing Roman Reigns has done is carry the title, say 5 words, or say 2 words, and then acknowledge me. And that was created last year, by the way. So what has Roman Reigns done this year?
Not defending this title.
I mean,
you're actually correct. There's nobody who's accomplished more.
Theory has been the most accomplished wrestler this year in the WWE. No?
Yeah.
So why can't we like Theory?
Why?
I mean, as much as you want to hate him, yeah, he does those sleeky slides here and there to get away with things. But he's not like he has that innocent face also. If you know what I mean.
There's just something about him that I don't like.
But you also do like him because apparently fans do like him because he's doing things that no one else would have done this year. Because Ricochet has a title. What has Ricochet done with that title? Nothing.
He's defended it in a handicap match.
No.
He's defended it against Shanky.
Okay.
And he's been off TV since.
Well, he was on Friday night talking to Sami Zayn. But that was it. So point settled, right? Theory is there. All right, I want to talk about this. We're going to start off with this. We'll come back from break with this. Judgment Day. Edge, Damian Priest, and now Rhea Ripley. You like the team? I know you're talking about it.
At first, I hated it. I hated the fact that Edge turned his back on the fans. I hated the fact that he changed his iconic music. And now he's cut his hair. He's
like Rhea Ripley.
He's totally changed his entrance.
Okay, let me ask you this.
I'm going to say it's freaking awesome.
You like it. So you like it.
Yeah.
Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, 2 good opponents, 2 good team members.
Yeah.
Let's understand that Edge is not a full-time wrestler, right?
Right.
So how else are you going to keep him on TV? You got to make him a leader of a faction. He gets his TV time. People want to see him. He's there. And he helps. You know, there's this feud like, you know, that brings the best out of, you know, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Now, what does this remind you of?
It reminds me of The Brood.
The Brood, yeah. And when it comes back around to a complete circle, it makes sense now because he's already teased the Brood in that entrance. But you can't just take the Brood's imitation. You have to make it your own. And that's what he's doing. Now, exactly how far do you see this going? Because although I'm enjoying this faction, they're nowhere near the level the Bloodline is. And do you I mean, Damian Priest had to lose a title to come. Do you really see Damian Priest? Exactly who on Raw can this faction go up against? You have three individual athletes, Damian Priest, Edge, and then you have a female. Damian Priest and Edge are not going after the tag team titles. Rhea Ripley, after the Raw title. So exactly where do you see them going, or what do you see the WWE doing with this faction?
I mean, this team is a dark eerie team, and that comes with playing mind games. They have to be dominant. They have to be a heel. They have to
What
I
mind
feel
games
like
have they played so far?
Right. I feel like they need to absolutely destroy people.
Like they did to Liv Morgan.
Right.
I don't. Can I tell you my truth about the Judgment Day? First of all, you took an old pay-per-view and named it after you. WWE used to be you had a pay-per-view called Judgment Day.
Yes.
And it's spelled the same way too. The lettering, the font size is the same exact thing. That's how much thought and energy they put into this. So let me ask you this. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion before we go to break.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they are potential and they're set up for success. But they will be like the Hurt Business. They will fall like the Hurt Business. All right?
Yeah.
I don't think that they will be to the level that you want them to be or that they should be at. I don't think they'll ever get there. I think a part of that is because they can't only have 3 members to the roster. And they don't have enough roster for them to go up against. I can see Edge and Cody, though.
You can see
Let me
Edge
ask you
and
this
Cody.
before we Edge versus Cody at some point. Let me ask you this really quick before we go to break. Does Beth Phoenix get involved with Rhea Ripley at some point? Could we see Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley team up at some point, not now, to face Edge and Beth Phoenix?
Hmm.
Would that be a match you want to see?
Yes. But I don't see that.
Not now. I'm talking about the end of the year. I'm talking about possibly next year. After this,
I would be interested.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. All right. Let's come back. I want to talk to you about 2 more things wrestling wise, and I want to talk about the Los Angeles Rams roster. All right.
Yep.
What type of impact has CM Punk made in AEW since his coming back? Has CM Punk's return been better for the business or been worse? Let's talk about that. Justin and Trey comes up next. Continues after this. All right, hour number 2 of the Justin and Trey on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel is brought to you by SeatGeek. On your first purchase of $50 or more, you guys can save 20% at SeatGeek.com with promo code TNC Sports Talk. That is 20% off. So before you guys buy your next sporting events, tickets, concerts, whatever you guys want to get, check out SeatGeek. And if you spend $50 on your first purchase, use TNC Sports Talk on the promo code, save 20%. Order now. All right, as we return here on Justin and Trey, hour number 2, taking you guys up until 4 o'clock. Trey, all right, let me ask you this here. All right. I'm going to read you something, and I want you to let me know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have for you is, has CM Punk, what type of impact has CM Punk made, contributed, or brought to AEW? Let me read you this. This was actually tweeted out by Eric Bischoff himself, which, you know, he's notorious for being that guy to speak out.
Yeah.
In a tweet, Eric Bischoff said, let's look at what Punk has delivered since debuting at AEW. Okay? August, Rampage, 1.1 million viewers. Now, it's lucky to hit 500,000 viewers. So August of last year, okay? Dynamite, 1.17 million viewers. Now they're lucky to break 900,000. You get those numbers?
Mm-hmm.
So before August, Rampage and Dynamite was up above 1 million viewers an episode. Now they're lucky to hit 500,000 to 1 million. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. This is what Eric Bischoff says. He says it's pretty lame for the guy who thinks he's bigger. He's a bigger deal than Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Randy Savage. That's what Eric Bischoff thinks of CM Punk. Has CM Punk is CM Punk really that good of a talent, or is his run just been an understatement to professional wrestling?
See, I still believe CM Punk is a major draw in professional wrestling. I don't think his current run is very special.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The first maybe 2 to 3 months was fun to see him back. But now he's in the mix with the guys. Okay. He's not even a guy that I would stop what I'm doing to watch him compete anymore. My attention would be on Hangman Page. My attention would be on Adam Cole. My attention would be on the Hardy Boys. All right. I'm sorry, and maybe this is just the wrong way. Now, I understand he has his own situation, his own issues. And I don't even hate him. I like him. But he's not a man who has, to me, made that much of an impact to change a single industry in a company of professional wrestling. Let me put it this way. I'm going to put it to you down in terms of Punk may find this insulting. MJF is better than Punk any day of the week. If CM Punk goes to NWF, I wouldn't go.
Why?
I wouldn't. Let me put it this way. I'd rather see Adam Swayze than CM Punk.
So let's just say CM Punk comes to the car
comes
show.
To cavalcade. He comes to cavalcade. I ain't going.
Aye. Why?
Yeah, Bryan Daniels is a bigger person than him. For me, he comes in with the big attitude. He comes in with an alter ego. Now, I'm not saying that he's not a great wrestler, but you know what? This industry of professional wrestling has opened up tremendously in the last 3 years while he was gone. Let's not forget about that. He was the one who chose. Now, he got upset with the WWE, right? I understand. Mm-hmm. Do you blame him? No. Okay. Did he start? Was he one of the few guys that started the whole speaking up for yourself? Sure. I'll give you credit. But there was plenty of opportunities. He talked about Ring of Honor and how Ring of Honor made him feel. He decided to spend a decade out of the industry because of the WWE when he could have went back to Ring of Honor, when he could have went to Impact Wrestling, when he could have tried New Japan Pro Wrestling. There was other promotions, and he waited for AEW to get on television because he thought he was better than each and every one of them. If he was not better, if he did not think he was better than Impact, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, New Japan Pro Wrestling, guess what? He would have been on those shows. He would have said, listen, I would have just took my business elsewhere because that's what other wrestlers do. He decided that he was going to leave because he wasn't getting the attention that he deserved. And he left. He thought that he could become a bigger success and do the same thing that Brock Lesnar did. Obviously, that failed. So this is a guy who left the industry because he thought he was that good, and yet he still didn't prove it yet.
I mean,
I understand now you are the greatest of the great, when you can not only make it in the WWE, but you can make it out here in the real world. Because today, the WWE is a fantasy when it comes down to professional wrestling. Am I wrong?
No.
But
You're not wrong.
it's a guy like a Kenny Omega who could go make a name for himself and hold 8 different titles, right? Matt Cardona, who holds 7 different titles for different promotions. It's a guy like Cody Rhodes, who he had a terrible first run in the WWE. Not his fault. He leaves, make a name for himself. He comes back. He's a great of the great. Okay? Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. You're telling me that Punk thinks he's better than them any given day? It's not about what you... I understand that the Clique, they left the WWE. I get that. But they walked into a territory that they didn't know what the hell they were getting into. And they made it something. If it wasn't for them, NWO wouldn't be NWO. See, NWO was going to be NWO without Hulk Hogan. It didn't.
Yeah, right.
You didn't need Hulk Hogan. You didn't need Sting. It was Scott Hall and Kevin Owens breaking down that fourth wall. We talk about the forbidden door, right?
Yeah.
Scott Hall and Kevin Nash broke down that wall publicly by crossing territories because it wasn't announced at the time that they were signed with WCW. So let's go back around to CM Punk. He's the best of the best. Where is his 7 titles? Because right now, Matt Cardona is 10 times better than CM Punk. You don't give up on a company just because you're not having fun. You know what you do? You get away from that company. You go find another company that will treat you better, that you can have fun with, and you make a name for yourselves. Just like Cody Rhodes, just like Matt Cardona, just like like Ruby Soho, just like the Hardy Boys. That's what makes you in the greatest of the great.
I mean,
It's hard to disagree with me, huh?
It is, but I mean, I'm still a fan of CM Punk.
I'm a fan.
I still love CM Punk.
I'm a fan of CM Punk, but I have lost a little bit of respect for him.
I lost respect for him for leaving us.
Not for leaving the WWE, for leaving the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he thinks that he's something special. Don't get me wrong. He's a great talent wrestler. I love what he's done. But he's not a priority guy. I'd rather go see the guys who fought tooth and nail through the... Wonder why I love The Undertaker so much. He was told he wasn't going to make it anywhere. He was washed up. He was living in a cardboard box, and now he's the greatest entity in professional wrestling. Or one of the greats. All right? I mean... He didn't give up on it. Come on. Listen, I get what he's done, but I feel like CM Punk thinks he's entitled to more than what he's actually entitled to. Jon Moxley is higher on that list than CM Punk. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
No, that is because the only thing that Jon Moxley has not did was he acknowledged that he had a problem, that wrestling gave him a problem, and he took care of it.
Yeah, I respect.
He didn't walk away from it. He didn't walk away from it. He took care of it.
And I respect the hell out of that. But
when things got rough, he didn't walk away. That's all I said.
But CM Punk is the best in the world.
No.
But
he's the best in the world at what he does.
But this
MJF
run
is
of
better.
MJF is better on the mic.
He's better in the ring too.
He's... I don't know about that. But on the microphone, definitely. But CM Punk's run right now is terrible.
Because AEW does that to every competitor. There's not one. Who's the face of AEW?
I don't know.
I
don't think there is one.
No? I mean, presumably it should be Hangman Adam Page because he's the AEW champion.
Right.
I would consider Thunder Rosa, but that's just because it's a biased opinion because I like her more. But technically, no. So, who is the face of AEW?
Nobody.
See what the problem is? There's not one person that's taking reins in AEW. Matter of fact, it's a flat way. You have your tops, your mid cards, and your lower cards. That's it. That's all you got. And they get equal share time on screen, so you don't highlight any individual person. All right. Don't get me wrong. I think the biggest feud right now that I'm following is Wardlow versus MJF. But if you've been following that, you're actually it's exciting to follow that because that's leading to Double or Nothing, which I believe is not at the end of the month, the 29th.
It is.
I know I want to see that match, but I'm just saying it looks like MJF's almost out the door. And I don't know exactly what's next for Wardlow afterwards, too. See, here's the problem with AEW. They're stacked, and I love how they're stacked. But for people like the Hardy Boys, they don't need to compete each and every week, right? But at the same time, I mean, no, Darby Allin is not the face of the company. I want him to be, but he's not the face of the company. Don't give me Darby Allin. He's a great athlete, but no. Let me ask you this. Well, it was Darby Allin. Would he be this big if it wasn't for Sting?
I mean,
would Darby Allin gotten? Listen, I have much more respect for Darby Allin. If he never had a match with Jeff Hardy, like he did on Wednesday, would you have had now more respect for him?
I mean, he had a great match with, was it Matt Hardy?
Jeff Hardy.
I'm not talking about, no, not this past Wednesday.
Okay, but see, it's a past time. I'm sorry, the Hardy Boys are past times. They're not in their prime anymore. They're doing their farewells, goodbye tour just in case. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, Darby Allin needed some help. He was not there. It's like Dan Hodson. He needs a little bit of help, a little bit of push. I feel like I love his character, man. But
oh yes,
I mean, there's no face to the company of AEW. You know who face he wears the face? Tony Khan. And when your owner wears the face of the company, that's not a good thing. It's not. No, I mean, disagree with me. Tell me I'm wrong and find me a reason why I'm wrong. Kenny Omega, the only person that would have been considered the face of the company would be Kenny Omega, and he's not there. Yeah. And when he comes back, he's not going to be the face of the company. And the only reason why he was the face of the company is because he walked around with other title belts from different promotions.
It's hard to disagree with you. So who's the face of Impact? Who's the face of ROH?
I don't know if Matt Cardona is still champion, but he was. But that was the only reason he was the face of Impact is because he was also holding around other titles. I don't know what his status is right now because I haven't followed Impact.
Who's the face of ROH?
Ring of Honor is not on a regular weekly basis show.
AAA, like all these companies, who's the face?
Well, okay, so let me put it that way. You make a good point. Is that the reason why these companies ain't going to get over? Because they don't have a face. Let me ask you this. When WCW was in place, who was the face of WCW? Hulk Hogan. When NWO, yep. NWO. Matter of fact, it was a fraction, a group of people. NWO was WCW, right? Then it was Sting. I mean, that was pretty much it, right? Goldberg at one time, I'm presuming. WWE always had a face of the company. Always had that one go-to guy. AEW doesn't have that one go-to guy. Everyone's participating equally. And I get that. I like that. I like the equal opportunity. But at the same time, let's not forget that if you're trying to be, I feel like it's only going to take you so far. CM Punk is not the face of AEW. The only person I would have considered the face was either Cody Rhodes, which is now in the WWE, or Kenny Omega. Because you could rely on them to get the job done whenever it's needed. Now, listen, Hangman's playing a great role, but he's not the main guy. When you talk about the face of the company, when you think about Roman Reigns, why is he the face of the company? It's because at the end of the day, he's the only guy that people will come see at the end of the day. And this means no disrespect to Drew McIntyre, because I will pay money to go see him, but not everybody pays money to go see him. You walk on the street, you talk about WWE, one of the fewest guys that you mention, always, it will win in a race, hands down, long shot. Roman Reigns is the first name that comes out of the mouth when you talk about WWE today.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So when you talk about AEW today, what is the exact first person that comes out of your mouth? And can that be matched with at least 80% or better than the rest of and if you asked 100 people?
I would say a lot of my people I would ask would probably be Adam Cole.
Okay, but Adam Cole was known for WWE.
Right.
Roman Reigns is not known for Ring of Honor.
Right.
Or OV, and he's not known for NXT. He's known for WWE. So I don't think it's mature to say Adam Cole as the face of as AEW.
Right. I mean, I don't know who's the face. I don't think there is a face.
I'm not worried about creative control in AEW. I'm asking you the face of AEW because that is one thing that they're missing.
Like he's asking, so Roman Reigns is the head of WWE, right? He's asking who's the face of AEW, who's the main guy.
Let's take a break and let's finish this up. I know we're going to talk about football, but we're not talking about football today because this is a better conversation to get into. Justin and Trey continues here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right. I like this conversation that we're going to. Okay. I think it's comfortable to talk about this. And like I said, I do want to get down, and I know we talked about we're going to do football roster, but it's been such a long time since we talked about wrestling, and it's been such a long time since we actually talked about good stories, like good conversations in professional wrestling on this show, Trey.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to continue that here, Justin and Trey. And the question I have for you is a simple question. The face of the company, when it comes down to the face of WWE, we know who it is. When you have a pay-per-view for Money in the Bank, who is on that cover? It's usually a hand selective of people that are going to highlight that premium line, right? For WWE. Yep. When it's AEW, it changes so much. Okay? They mainly put main events, and it's not the same people always main eventing. Now, listen, I will say this. What I like about AEW, what I like about these other promotions is that they give an equal share of opportunities for people to grow. But if you don't establish yourself as known for, it's great to know, hey, there's this guy, that guy, this, I could rattle off 15 people in AEW, great. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that one guy that stands above them all, then you ain't getting nowhere, right? You think of the WWE has played this game. One of the reasons why they're so successful is that they've always, even in the 90s and 80s, they've had that one guy that has been the face of the company. It was Hulk Hogan. It was John Cena, The Rock. It was John Cena, right? Then it was, try to be Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns right now. You think of the guys. And what was their responsibility? Their responsibility was to be the guy to represent that company, to go out to do these talk shows, to go out and do this and do that. They get the primary, items outside of wrestling to go represent the company, right?
Yeah.
Like this year, you saw Titus O'Neil, who was an ambassador for WWE. You also saw who else did you see? The Miz, part of the draft. You have your roster that breaks down and does those individual smaller items. But who's going to be on the USA Today show? Roman Reigns, because he's your face of the company, and that's who you had. John Cena was doing all the time.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So Drew McIntyre, I'm sure he was doing a little bit of that during the pandemic. But what I'm trying to say is when you go look over at AEW, and when you have it that way, you have a foundation built. And that foundation is built, and now people are recognizing you. AEW is a great product, right? It is. But where's that foundation? Is it because they're still so new to the company or to the industry? Or because I feel like it's going to it limits. It really does limit, for my opinion, because the only difference that AEW is from an Impact, a Ring of Honor, New Japan, right? Here's the only difference. It's Tony Khan. The only difference is television. That's the only difference. There is nothing new that AEW has, that Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, nor New Japan Pro Wrestling does not have, except for the television channels. It's wonder why Ted Turner, he bought WCW to put it on television. But it was nothing new than the independent circuits. They tried to think that they were going to do the same thing that WWE did, and look where that happened. So, am I wrong to say? So, okay, let me even put it this way. I'm gonna pick a bone with you. AEW is no different than NWF.
I mean, I could see that. I mean, NWF doesn't have a face of the company either.
I mean, I say the face is Adam Swayze, but I mean that's because the NWF champion, they do highlight him and make him apparent. But what I'm trying to say is that the only difference that between AEW and NWF, you know what all that difference is? They're on television. Mm-hmm. They're on public television around the world.
You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it. But you
good.
It seems like you have to have a top guy in order to succeed.
Yeah. So I'm still wondering who's the top guy. It's not one person. It's a group of guys. It's not even a fraction. No.
The longest women's champion there.
Maybe she was last year, but then she lost the title and she no longer obtained that. Do you really think Thunder Rosa is the face? Here's the other problem. You have a TNT champion and a TBS champion, right? So really, who takes priority here? Come on. Someone like a title needs to be directed. If you're gonna you have the TNT championship, right? No, AEW Women's Championship. I guess I could go back and forth. But then you have the TBS championship that gets worked on TNT, on Rampage. I mean,
it's confusing.
It does. So, do you really think Thunder Rosa is the face of the company? Do you really think Hangman Adam Page is the face of the company? There are two champions. Do you think Darby Allin's the face of the company?
No.
Don't get me wrong. They're great talents. They're not face of the company worth yet. Who else can be? Chris Jericho the face of the company? Is MJF the face of the company? I could
see that. No.
You could see that, but the way that it looks like he's out the door.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay. Wardlow's not there yet. Sean Spears is not there yet. Who else? Pinto?
Jungle Boy.
So is CM Punk the face of the company? Because for me, he doesn't represent the company. Jack Hager?
I would say it's Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho's the face of the company. And yet again, I don't see it. Chris Jericho is an edge to me right now in WWE.
He's an edge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't think there is one top guy.
Is that a good thing or bad thing?
I mean, I'm gonna say it's bad because a newcomer coming in saying who's the main guy here.
Who is the main guy?
When you go to WWE, you know who that guy is,
right? So when you come into AEW, who is the guy to beat? When you go into WWE, you know that there's really two big people you need to beat: Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre. Right?
Yep.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay, so where is that? Who is the one or two people in AEW that you need to beat in order to be at the top of the game? It's not there. It's not there. Impact, I will say Moose is one guy. Matt Cardona is another guy. Right?
Yeah.
So, please, I'm waiting. I'm going to wait until for the next 2 minutes to see if you can tell me. Name me two guys, maybe three, that when you walk into AEW that you have to beat. That could be the face of the company.
I mean, if I was a wrestler, I would want to beat Bryan Danielson.
So he's the face of the company. And he doesn't even have a title run. Okay, so if I was coming into AEW and I wanted, because you want to make a statement, right? So you beat Bryan Danielson or Jon Moxley. And then you want to beat maybe Adam Cole.
Yeah.
And then you would want to beat Hangman Page because he's a champion. But are any of them in the position to be the face of the company?
No.
Are they given the platform to be the face of the company?
No.
So therefore, their only way that they're moving up is held back from AEW. They could be. They're here. Roman Reigns is way up here. They could be up there. AEW won't let them do that.
I wonder why that is.
Because it's like WCW. If certain people ain't on top, then it is what it is. Plus, I feel like AEW is more of the platform that you can get athletes to grow. Here's your stepping stone. Take it, run with it, grow with it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Lashley and Omos, still cage match. I know you're going to be intrigued into this match. Last minute of the show. What's your thoughts on this one?
My honest opinion, I think it's trash.
You think it's trash?
We've seen it twice already.
Well, it's just inside the steel cage, though.
I mean, it definitely elevates the match, but we all know what's going to happen.
What happens if Bobby Lashley spears Omos through the cage?
It's happened before.
Would that be intriguing for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley destroyed Umaga in that cage, and he'll do the same thing to Omos.
All right, that is all we have time for you guys today. Thank you guys once again. Great work, Trey, on here on a Sunday. Thank you guys for watching. On behalf of Trey, myself, and the entire team of the TNC Sports Talk crew, Justin and Trey will continue later on this week. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good one.
Peace.